Hello, this is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can get us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Today I want to show you a hand-carved dragon phone. I believe it's from China and was made there or something. And this is Bill's telephone. And we've got another video of this telephone that was made earlier, and we've had this phone in the shop for a while. There are so many factors in trying to repair this telephone that everything has to be just right, basically. The board in this telephone was just kind of put in. You know, the guy was a carver, but he was not an electronic technician. And basically, as you can see, there's quite a mess here. This is a lot of the old hot glue. They just kind of had this speaker, which has quite a bit of weight to it, just kind of hot glued into position. There was no mounting screws or anything, and so naturally that just kind of popped up and didn't last long for sure. This telephone, you can't get any parts to it, and it is all hand carved. Even the buttons that you push for the keypad, they're even hand carved. So basically he stuffed a telephone into this cavity of this dragon phone and basically built a phone out of it. And you can't get any parts, there's no board for it, and so there's really no way to repair this other than replacing a board and trying to straighten out basically a mess that the whoever built this phone created. Because on this telephone there is no other than the keypad. Now you can see all this. We've taken this apart because it was quite a little mess here, and things were just kind of hot glued in. I'm not sure what type of glue other than the hot glue that they're using. Looks like they've done the keypad. This is the back of the original telephone's keypad, and these buttons are actually, they'll come out of here if I tip the phone over, and they're marked. They were marked originally. These are some wires that go up into the lights for the dragon and for a fireball, and I'm hoping one of them, I'm hoping this was to something else here, because that's going to be a nightmare to try to get up into the dragon. But anyway, there are some keys here, and they've been marked, and I remarked some of them that were kind of fading out. But they have epoxied, and I don't even recognize the type of epoxy that it is. It's down in this area, so I'm not sure what they were using. It almost looks like they were using some kind of wood dust and some kind of glue here. But a lot of this stuff just kind of fell apart, and so they've hollowed out the inside of this telephone and kind of just incorporated their stuff in it. We're going to have to use, since this was all designed by the person who built this telephone, we're going to have to utilize this board and the keys that were built for it, designed for it. And we're going to have to take a board and wire it to this main PC board here for the keypad. This would be the main electronic PC board, but this is a main board for the dialing. And we're going to have to rewire another board to this board. And you can see this ribbon cable here that shoots over to the board. We're going to have to get rid of this, and we're going to have to wire a new board to this telephone here. What makes this telephone kind of hard to deal with is because of kind of basically the way it was built. You've just got stuff kind of stuck in here and glued. And it just, like I said, it just kind of falls apart. You got little pieces of braces that they did from shipping. There was like one of these feet that was broke and missing, fell out of the box. And here's some, you know, just pieces of hot glue, and here's your keypad. That was really totally filthy. all that's going to have to be cleaned and put back in. This is the handset to it, and believe it or not, they've glued this microphone element inside this little cap that they built, and it looks like they glued it back in. The only way to get this out of here is we'd have to cut this cap off and re-epoxy it to get to the microphone. The receiver now, that will unscrew, so we can get that out, but that gives you a look at the of the carving on it. And we're going to show you the Dragon here in a second, or maybe even in another video, and that's what they've carved for the receiver there. So everything is basically, you know, just basically handmade. It's just carved out. I'm not sure if they had any electrical tools when they did this. They may have, but for the most part, it's pretty much handmade. Even the little modular port there for the handset cord is kind of just stuffed into place and glued. So it's a very unique telephone. We have another telephone board here that we're going to install, and we're going to wire this keypad. We're going to get rid of this keypad and wire this board to this keypad and get rid of this board, and we'll have to get rid of the hook switch up here. There's a lot of other factors to this telephone. I'm going to try to turn it over, and I really didn't want everything to spill out of it, but from shipping, these pieces are very delicate, and some of the fire flames has been broke off, and that's going to have to be recarved and put back on. Some of these were already put back on, and we'll have to go through them and clean them up a little bit. And one of the horns on the Dragon, this one here, was broken off also, and so we put that back on. But as you can see, all the buttons and everything is hand carved, and I'm not going to tip it over because I don't want the buttons to fall out. But you can see these green eyes in the Dragon here. Them green eyes light up when you're on the telephone. There's another light here. It's a red light, and I suspect that that's for like when the telephone rings, that kind of flashes red. And so basically that's what you have to worry about on these speakerphone boards. You know, you have to worry about being able to get these. You're taking a board that didn't have exactly what the board that was in it had, so you have to find a way to utilize these lights and get these lights lit. So there's a lot of work to it and a lot of things you have to think about. If you notice this keypad, you have your 1 to 0, and you have your star and your pound, and then you have two buttons below that I suspect were the speakerphone to turn the speakerphone on, and maybe a redial. There's nowhere on this telephone that you could set the volume for your speakerphone. So, I mean, there's just so many different little factors that get in the way, because when you take a phone like this, you don't want to start cutting on it. Unless you really have a plan and you know what's going on and you know for sure everything's going to work. You start cutting on this telephone, you can see how elaborate it is. You start cutting on this telephone, and then say it doesn't work out what your plan was, and then you have to utilize whatever hole you cut in it or whatever. But basically this telephone has no place to have a volume up and down, whether it be through electronic up and down buttons, momentary switches, or even a slide or a volume control that's a round knob. So there's so many factors in trying to put a board in there. And if you search these boards down like we do almost every day for different things, most telephones are made today with caller ID and all the other functions on them and things like that. Well, we don't need caller ID. That's all the kind of stuff that we don't need. So, we're really kind of put into a position when you're trying to repair a telephone of this nature and get it back into working order, this gives you some kind of look at it and how extensive the carving is on it. So it gets pretty elaborate. You know, that's the back of it. So it's going to be a very difficult task to try to incorporate this board and still try to create some type of a volume. And you know, you also have to think about these boards. It's not electric. It runs off the telephone line. So we're only utilizing the electric from the telephone line. There's no power supply. So you have to worry about quality. You want the phone to sound good. And to find one of these boards that runs off phone voltage from the telephone line and then have quality behind that, it's tough. So we're going to do the best we can with this and try to. I've used this board and talked to several people on the speakerphone and through the handset, and I've had no complaints. So basically we're going to go ahead and do the next step, and that's wire this board to this PC board here for the dialing and get rid of this. We're going to start working on it, and we're going to try to solve these problems as we go along, about the lights, getting the handset to work with it properly, getting a speaker mounted in here properly that sounds good, because we're talking about the bottom board here. This is the bottom plate for this. The speaker's pointing out the bottom of the telephone. We want quality sound to come out of this because it's a large project and we want it to sound good. But it's a little hard to take a speaker pointing out the bottom of a telephone and expect it to sound good. Every speakerphone that you see, you'll see the speaker pointing up at you. This is pointing down towards the table that it's sitting on. So it's going to be a difficult task just to get this telephone back into somewhat of a decent working order and try to have some options on it, like a volume control. We're going to do what we can do, and we're just going to move along, and we're going to take each problem as we come across it and try to solve it. But this is the closest board that we've been able to locate that's even going to fit in the cavity of the phone and give us what we need for the most part. And so we're going to go ahead and just make a go of it and try to take it one step at a time and solve each problem as we get to the problem and try to overcome it. So it's going to be a lot of work, and we're just going to do the best we can on it. That's what we do here every day. We do unique, different, odd things, and that's why people send us phones from all over the United States and the world. And so we're just going to do what we do every day and just kind of go with it. This is Dennis with A1 Telephone Service and Repair, A1 Electronics. You can get us on the web at www.a1-telephone.com, and you can also reach us at 618-235-6959. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.